After a couple minutes of work, this turns into... we back in business. It's been sitting here for like probably the majority of 2019. I keep finding things, I kept finding things that was wrong with it. From the windshield to the leaking gas to a bunch of rusty parts, and it's just been hanging out. It's been sitting. So this is what the interior looks like underneath the dash when everything will be put back together. The fuse box was initially on that side, so all the wires that attach to the fuse box I had to lengthen, which is why everything is pretty exposed. So yeah, I didn't end up putting any of the original, shielding of the wires back. I just kind of kept everything exposed. All of these that are extended, it's a mixture of American wire gauge as well as some of the cut harness that was on the clip. But yeah, had to extend a decent amount to bring the fuse box over here and kind of maintain everything. Back here, focus baby, back here was the hole for where the blow motor was, and I basically cut a piece of the same size and welded it shut. I used that seam sealer, did an amazing job covering it up to cover that hole up completely. I had to drill out the spot welds from the JDM clip and put them in this car, and then spot welded them back into this car. Didn't put any Por 15 or any kind of like paint or covering over it. Should have, but again, lazy. The resistor for the blow motor and the blow motor controls are different from the JDM blow motor and the US blow motor. This, because I'm using the USDM harness, I maintained the US blow motor. Under here, right here, the resistor for the JDM blow motor is right here, but the inlet to go into the blow motor is different. So this one's just been hanging out. This is the second one I had to replace because the first one was rubbing up against the carpet and it ended up stopped working. So yeah, it's been hanging like this, and just been cautious, whoever's been sitting in the seat, to not put their foot on it or whatever. So that's something else that should be figured out. These controls, not necessarily the entire bezel, but these controls were originally on that side, and I wasn't able to source the JDM controls. So all I did was chop off this, like the lock was originally on this side, on that side, if any of that makes sense. So I cut the lock off and just pieced this onto here, switched these two controls onto the wiring harness, and was able to get it to work. But I'm sure you can source the JDM version, have it on eBay and whatnot. Again, lazy. So there is a gorgeous crack in the windshield. This was done because I was unbolting the dashboard. The ratchet that I was using was pretty close, and it tapped right over here. And then lo and behold, driving, all the bumps and whatnot, this happened. Lights work. Not sure what's up with this one. This one hasn't worked since I've gotten the car. Could be a wiring issue, could be a blown bulb, no idea. The ECU is right here. In the JDM version, the ECU is on that side, but there are like 1,075,000 wires that go to that, and I would need to extend all those wires to fit it perfectly over there. So I kept it under here, and everything else fits. So it runs all through here, kind of bulges the carpet a bit, but yeah, everything else fit. The pad for your feet, clutch pedal, brake pedal, and gas. Some of the relays, and I tucked in here just so that it'll be able to fit perfectly, just so that it'd be able to fit and allow for none of the wires to be exposed. It worked pretty well. So I tried taking off the tints by myself some time ago. Didn't really work out. So that's what that looks like. That's what this looks like right now. Now, I have not been able to figure this out. I'm sure somebody else would super quick. But for some odd reason, when it rains extremely hard, this and it is blurry, Marais. When it rains extremely hard, for some odd reason, water kind of like seeps in and the back of the carpet here gets damp. It's freaking annoying. I have no idea where it's coming from. I know there are 2 tubes that run down towards the bottom of the car, but I checked those and it's not from there. No idea where that water is coming from, but it's like it's only when it rains extremely hard. No idea where to source it. So that's just something else to look out for. Doesn't happen often. It's only when it's like extremely super hard rain. So as far as the gas tank goes, whenever it's filled over 50%, it tends to leak. Everybody that I've told about this who's a Subaru enthusiast told me that it's the filler neck. I haven't checked out the filler neck in depth yet. Just by observing it, I saw there was a lot of rust down there. So I'm assuming that's the issue. But again, something to look out for. And the fuel gauge, once it hits like a quarter tank or a little lower than a quarter tank, it's actually means that it's almost empty. Probably some issue with the sending unit, and I'm sure it probably needs to be replaced. But yeah. So after a couple minutes of work, this turns into we back in business. So I'm getting a reading of 17 volts from this battery right now that has not been charged or used in the past, I don't know, 9-10 months. So we're gonna actually try and start the car and see if it starts. If I fully engage before stepping on the gas, when I'm shifting, I won't misfire at all. But if I keep it there right at that top engagement point, of course, like that. Feel that or see that? The ABS system is the only issue that's like wrong with it. Check engine, no check engine light. Well, the check engine light will come on again the more that it misfires. And that check engine light is a misfire in the 3rd cylinder. The airbag system is working, everything is connected. Bam, there's one under here, there's one under here, and this bad boy, it's all connected. Okay, also at 3K, when I hold it at 3,000 RPM, there's like a rattle coming from the engine. Of course, now it's not doing it. Hang on. You can kind of hear it. All right, hold on. So that's the car in a nutshell. I'm gonna go grab my camera and do this montage to finish this whole thing up.